I want to welcome everybody to the Mylio Photos Coffee Break. My name is Angela Andrieux. I'm a product evangelist for Mylio, and my job is to help you guys learn how to use Mylio Photos and be successful and have fun. Today, I'm joined by Lori Rubin. She is my fellow product evangelist, and she's going to be helping out in the chat. So thank you, Lori. Welcome. And today, we're going to be talking about preserving family history in your metadata. So let me jump into sharing my screen first of all here. And I want to show you guys a new section that you may not realize is in Mylio Photos. So if you look over here in my info panel, I've got an image selected. There is a family history section. If you're not seeing that in your application, all you need to do is go up to the More menu and toggle this family history switch on. Now, you're only going to probably want to have this on when you're specifically working with family history. You probably don't want to have it on all the time. And I will be upfront and tell you this is part of a bigger project that we're working on. It is not complete yet, but you can start using it and start adding some of that information, and it's going to be part of a much bigger initiative and program we have going on. So for today's situation, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and we're going to add some family history metadata to these photos and get ourselves set up for preserving this, not only for ourselves, but to be able to share that with friends, family, and on family history and ancestry websites. So the first thing I wanted to do, obviously, was show you where that panel is, if you didn't know it already existed, and to let you know that this is formatted based on the Family History Metadata Working Group, which is an industry panel that is making specifics and guidelines for this type of metadata. And we are one of the front runners who are working with various ancestry websites to get this into a standardized format. So what you're seeing here are standardized metadata fields that are going to be more and more used by these websites. And we have a really great partnership coming up that we'll tell you more about in the next couple of months that is going to let you put this information to use and actually directly upload it to certain websites. So what I want to do today is walk you through what we have here and how to use it. So we have a details section, so title and description. If you've entered in the main title and caption areas, this information will transfer over. If you look into the XMP metadata, into those XMP files that are sidecars next to your images in the file system, you'll notice that some of these have different fields. And what Mylio has done is taken the information that you already have entered and copied it into those relevant fields so these ancestry websites can also read and standardize this information. So we'll have the title and details. If you've gone ahead and added face tags, those will be listed here. You can put in a place. So if you already have GPS information or have drugged this onto the map, that'll show there. You also have your date shown, which is going to be that same option to have lots of date information and fuzzy dates. So those non-specific dates, you can go ahead and enter those in here. And you can even put in an event name. So up on the screen, I have my parents' wedding, and it was actually their 51st anniversary just a few days ago. So I figured this was a good set of images to work with. So I'm going to go here and go up to the top, and we're going to do a bunch of these at once because that's, a lot of times we have a lot of pictures from a same event, and we want to add the same information to them. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to do a Command or Control A to select all of the pictures in this group. And I'm going to just put in here title, Mom and Dad's wedding. All right, and I could put in a description that I want. So married at, let's see if I can type properly, Mission San Luis Rey in Oceanside, California, whatever information that you want to put in there. And you can see that I have a lot of people tagged in these various images, and that's great. I've already gone through and done most of my face tagging, so we're not going to jump into that today. I also want to go ahead and put this information onto the map. Since I know where these were captured, what I can do is switch over here to the map tab and grab these pictures and drag them where they belong. So I'm going to go ahead and just type here Mission San Luis Rey. And let's see if it goes ahead and finds it. Perfect. There it is. And there is the mission right there. So I can grab these images and drop them right onto the church. Perfect. So that goes ahead and assigns all of these images GPS information. If we go ahead and jump back over to the info and scroll down here to the during place, we can see that we now have a location shown, we have GPS coordinates, and we can even click on show more, and that's going to take us in and show us the rest of the map. So from there, all we have left to do is adjust the date. And I already have the date in here, which was August 12, 1972. And again, I can put in an event name. So give me just a second. It looks like it's loading kind of interestingly here. There we go. There's my event. And I can type in mom and dad's wedding. So there we have it. I've gone through and I've added a lot of information to all of these pictures. So I can go in here and I can just select all again and see if it'll let me. There's like a little bug happening right here. So sorry about that. And like I said, this whole panel, this new section is a work in progress. Once we get version 24, which we were talking about a little bit before we started this episode, we're expecting it to be late September. I can't promise anything or a specific date, but that's our target right now. This is going to be improved, and there's going to be even more options in here. And we're going to have some things that connect to prominent ancestry websites that will allow you to have this information and just get that much more organized with your family history details. So I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to show you today. I know this is short and sweet, but this is the core of gathering this information for your family history and then saving it to standardized XMP metadata. If I were to go look at any one of these files now in my file system, so let's go ahead and right click, and I can show in my external drive. There's this JPEG, and then here's my XMP file. If I right click and say open with, I'm going to go ahead and open that with a text editor. All of that information that we've added over here is reflected here. So you can even see there's the GPS, longitude, latitude, and any other website that uses that standardized information will be able to read and preserve it. And also, if you wanted to, share that with friends and family. So that is what I have for you today. I hope that was helpful and interesting. And I would like to open up the floor now for questions.
Yeah, Angela, it looks like Melinda has a question.
So let me pull up the chat here.
Okay.
All right. Is it best practice to add title and event name even if they're the same? I would say that's personal preference. I would typically add different things in those fields. So I would say a title is going to be a shorter description and leave the description field to be a longer. If you have a more of a short paragraph that you want to add about the event or about the photo, that's what I would put in there. But I don't think it's necessary to put it in both. All right. Any other questions?
It's Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
Hello. So at the moment, there really is nothing here, correct? I mean, whether or not I open the family history tab, all that information is I've already put everything you've done is stuff that's been around for ages in the caption and the event and the dates. That's already all in there. So that family history on-off thing is really, if you've already got the data there, doing nothing extra at the moment. Is that correct?
Yes and no. So on the surface, it absolutely appears that way. So what you see in Mylio is not going to look any different. How it's being saved to those XMP files, though, is what's different. So it's putting it into different metadata fields and applying them in a more standardized ways. So once we have that connection to those other services, everything will populate in a standardized way.
So if I already have all that data that you put in there in my photos, how do I if I go to all photos, select every single photo and turn on family history for 2 minutes and then turn it off, all my XMP files get updated? Like, do I have to add or write something or do something?
You shouldn't have to do anything. So whether you enter it here in the family history field, which is more, is designed to look more like what you'll see in a family history website, and as far as the way it's labeled, whether you do it here or you do it in just the regular info panel with the rest of this stuff, they're going to save in both places as applicable. So you don't have to do it twice.
So if I've already got it in now, I don't need to touch or turn on that family history tab at the moment. My XMP file still has everything.
Yes, that is correct.
And there's no benefit to me today to turning on the family history one right now if I don't have any more information to put in.
That I would say that's correct. If you want to
Okay.
turn it on just to look through it, great. If not,
I
I would
did
go ahead and turn it off. It's just two different ways to view the same
the
information.
same thing.
And under the hood,
Okay.
we've changed how it saves to the metadata.
But you've changed that regardless of whether I have family history turned on or not.
As far as I know, yes.
Okay,
Because
because that's
if I go ahead and
important.
look at one of my images and I look at the metadata, I believe the change is global, not just because I turn on the panel.
Okay.
Panel is just a different way to view it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Angela, can you show how to turn on the family history section?
Absolutely. So if you go up here to the More menu, which is the ellipsis here in the corner, family history is right here, and you can turn that on. And that's going to bring it up here in the info panel. So it'll be collapsed like so, or you can have it open and scroll down and see all that information in the family history layout. And once you're done working with that family history information, you can always go back up here and turn it off and re-enable it or disable it as you like.
Great.
All
And
right.
Deb wanted to know if you're working with photos from the late 1800s, early 1900s,
Mhm.
and the location is unknown.
So you would just leave that blank.
Okay.
Yeah, you would just
Cool.
not drag it onto the map. You certainly don't have to do that. But if you know that information, it's really helpful. So to give another example, let me go ahead and jump back here to my calendar and go back quite a ways here. So for instance, this image, let me go here and grab this one. Oops. So I have this photo of my grandma. And if I go ahead and right click on this and I say show and folder, I have two scanned versions of the image. So I have an Epson fast photo scanner that scans the image as it is, and it also does an enhanced version. So I have both to choose from. You certainly don't have to do that. You can pick which one you like and get rid of the other. But the cool thing about the scanner is it also scans the back. So I have their ages, which help me pinpoint when this was taken. And it also says it was made in El Paso. So I can then, again, go here to the map and I can pull this up. Actually, if I go back here to info and just scroll down to places, where is it here? There it is. And you know what? It's not showing on this one, but it should show on this one. Here we go. So I have this located in El Paso. So that's on my map. But if you don't have that information, you certainly don't have to add it. It's completely optional. But it's fun if you have, the more information you have, the better to preserve it and so forth. Let's see here. Does this tie into the life calendar? Yes, it does. So whether you're changing the date in the family history tab or you're changing it just here in the info panel, it does impact where it shows up on the life calendar. Great question. And which genealogy programs will this work with? Family Search as well as others like Ancestry. I can't answer that quite yet. So we haven't made those partnerships public yet, but I think you'll be happy. And let's see here, another question on the same thing. So got the question there for where is the family history, and see what else we've got here.
How about how to get to the street view on your map?
So
Diana wants to.
when you say street view, for instance, let's see here, let me go ahead and open up the map tab here and pull this up. This is just by zooming in. So you can choose how you're zoomed in. You also have the option, I believe, let me see here, in the map view. Go ahead and pull that back over here. We have different kinds of maps that you can see. So if you're in the main map view, here's a map style. And so I have it on satellite hybrid. You can do standard, which is just more of a regular map. Or you can do topographical. So if you're like to look at the topography. So it's up to you which one you choose. I'm going to go ahead and keep it with satellite hybrid. And then when I want to get in on a specific area, let's say I want to look at La Jolla, California. Let's see here. There we go. La Jolla. So when I do that, it zooms me right in the middle of town, and I can go ahead and zoom out, grab my mouse, I can pan around. There's the ocean. You can see there's pictures I've taken here in La Jolla and so forth. So that's how you navigate around the map. And it's the same whether it's in the main map view or if you're in the little map tab here on the side. So if I go back to my all photos and take a look here, it's just going to be over here in the map, and you can always make that bigger or smaller here as well. So that's a nice little trick. All right. Any other questions? Looks like
Yeah,
there's a few more
Angela.
things in the chat.
Yep, Deb wanted to know what printer do you have or which one are you using?
What printer? Okay. So I have a couple of printers. I have an all-in-one printer. It's a HP 8620, I think. I bought it several years ago, but it's been a workhorse. It's more of a small business quality one as opposed to one that's just meant for homes. And it has done a great job. So that's what I print, like just documents and things like that on. For my photos, I have a Canon Pixma Pro 100, which prints up to a 13x19. It is a great printer. It's on the less expensive end of those large format printers, and it's fabulous. I think that version that I have is no longer available, but any of the Pixma Pro series, and I've also talked to a lot of friends who have the big Epson printers who love them. So.
Great.
All right.
Melinda had a question about parentheses. She says using parentheses around the married name versus the maiden name, is that a personal preference or the right way to name people?
That's a great question. So I'm doing that as my own personal preference. I don't know what the standard is for that. I have been entering some of my own pictures into Family Search, and it typically asks for the birth name. So it's it asks for first names and then birth name. So I would put in for myself, Angela Louise, and I would put in Evans, which is my maiden name. And then later on, you can add in the married name. Mylio doesn't have that option right now. So how I'm keeping track of people and kind of their connection to each other is I put the maiden name in parentheses. All right.
Okay. Tammy wanted to clarify, I think maybe that other person was asking wasn't about the printer, but more about the scanner.
Oh, okay. Maybe you said scanner and I heard printer. So sorry about that. So I have the Epson Fast Photo 680, and it is a sheet fed scanner. So you can pop a stack of like 30 photos in it at once, and it does high quality. It's blazing fast. Highly recommend it for pictures that are in good condition and of similar size. If you have pictures that are delicate, let's say they've got maybe crumpled edges, or maybe they have like a little bit of adhesive residue on them and things like that, you don't want to necessarily stack those up and try to put them through a sheet fed scanner. That's where a flatbed scanner comes in handy. For that, again, I use that all-in-one printer scanner machine that I have. It's not the highest end scanner on it, but it does good enough. I would say if you're scanning in images, you want to scan those in at least 600 DPI. That's going to give you a good archival quality. And if you're scanning in smaller images, let's say you only have like a teeny tiny something, you might even want to go up to 1200 DPI. That's going to take a lot longer, especially if you're using like a consumer grade flatbed scanner on all-in-one. If I set that to 1200, the scan takes absolutely forever, but that's going to give you the most pixels to work with. Same goes if you're scanning slides. You want to make sure, I think I read something recently, and I think it was from the photo managers, you want to set that to 2500 if you can. So, take that into consideration. But for most photos, if you're just scanning in a stack of those 4x6s or even up to an 8x10, that fast photo is absolutely amazing. All right. For the family history stuff, will you be able to add more detail about the person, such as siblings, parents, and offspring? Eventually in Mylio Photos, I believe so. We're going to have groupings. We're not necessarily going to have like a family tree builder that I know of, but there will be groups. I think that's still probably 6 months to a year out, but it is on our roadmap. Let's see what else we've got here. Looks like there was another question.
I think you got them all.
All right.
Oh, wait, there's
one more.
here.
One of the answers, what is family view for? Where did I say family view? George, can you clarify your question? I'm not sure I understand. So we have our people view. We have our family history section for metadata that's over here in the right. So if you go to the info panel and you turn this on up here, go to the more menu, you can turn on or off family history. I think that was what we mentioned. So if I misspoke on something, I apologize.
What I meant was family history.
Okay. So what it is it's just a more standardized way of entering that metadata that most ancestry and family history websites use and are continuing to use. So there's a board that's organizing a set of standards for these. And we're one of the first applications to jump on those standards and implement them in our software. So when you're entering them there, it's going to put them into the metadata in a format that those websites will also eventually be able to read.
So some of my pictures will be in my family view, but family history, but others will not be in family history, a part of family history.
No, I mean, you can do that with any of your pictures, and it's just a different way to enter metadata. It doesn't take your pictures and move them at all. So for instance, I could grab, let's just take this picture of my cat here. I can open up the family history metadata, and I can go ahead and put in, oops, actually, I just turned it off. Let me turn it back on. And I can put in a title and description. I can add, I have a face tag here for him. So let me go ahead and just put that in there.
Face tag for your cat.
I do, yeah. You can see I've already got GPS information in there because this was taken at my home. The date that it was captured. There wasn't an event associated with this, so I'm going to leave that blank, but that information is then stored in that XMP file that sits next to your picture. And it's stored in a standardized format that not just Mylio can use and not just other image editors can use, but that it's going to be standardized also for these family history applications as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, well, thank you once again for joining me. It's been a very informative coffee break, lots of great questions. You guys have a wonderful week. Just to let you know, there will not be a coffee break next week. Several of us are going to be in the recording studio making new courses and some new quick tip videos and things like that next week. So there will not be a coffee break, but I will catch up with you the week after. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.